poise. Frenetic poise. Go ahead, put that definition up on the screen. Frenetic, frenzied, frantic, totally worked up. How can you have frenetic poise? We were talking off the air about Marco Rubio. And Billy Bob said, why don't you like Marco Rubio? And I said, he's too frenetic. So he looked up the word to make sure that I was saying it right. I like a lot of his policies, but there's something about him that is too, it's like a kid wearing his dad's shoes. There's something about it that doesn't fit. And it's interesting that I would say that because there are things that we should be frantic about. There are things we should be totally worked up about. I'll go a step further. If we're not frantic about some things and we're not totally worked up about some things, it may indicate that we are lukewarm, that we have lost our way. So I think that, well, for example, I think that Donald Trump, at some level, could be defined as poised frenetic or frenetically poised. It's almost like he has that edge of being worked up, but he keeps it in enough check, like an elderly father or grandfather. He keeps it in enough check so that it's credible. Ronald Reagan had more poise. He did. And Ronald Reagan was worked up about the threat of the Soviet Union. He was. And he called them an evil empire. And he walked out of Reykjavik. And he went to the wall and said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And his staff was saying, please don't say that. Don't be provocative. Don't stir things up. And he said, I intend to. That's my goal. There seemed to me to be more poise there. But it also seems to me, and please grasp this with me. I read to you from Isaiah 59 the other day. It said, the righteous, speaking of the righteous, it said, we grope along the wall like the blind. Among the vigorous, vigorous for evil, we are like the dead. So what Ronald Reagan said in 1980, given the tone and the temper of that day, was frenetic. People said, do you want this man to have the black or the red button or the black box, whatever they used to call the football, the nuclear football? Do you want Ronald Reagan to have the launch codes for nuclear weapons? Ah! That's what they were saying. So they're, in some ways, they're making the same type of accusation against Donald Trump. But in 1980, we were only 7 years away from Roe versus Wade. There was a strong chance of having a constitutional amendment to end child killing. In 1980, if you said we want to have homosexual marriage, you would have been laughed out of town. People would have looked at you and said, are you out of your mind? What kind of pervert are you? What kind of a sick person are you? So our moral antenna as a people was still more functional. Our communal conscience was still more functional. Our individual consciences were still more functional. In 1980, we barely had CNN. We didn't have 1,000 stations. There wasn't not pornography coming into homes and into computers. Computers were for big business. You didn't have home laptops where any human being, no matter what age, could find anything in a matter of seconds, no matter how reprobate or horrible or immoral it is. And so the conscience of the nation at that time was not so skewed and calloused. So Ronald Reagan really was poised, and people really did say he's totally worked up. He was frenetic, but it was much lower grade. So fast forward to today, Donald Trump still has a level of poise with him that I don't think Marco Rubio has. Both of them are frenetic, totally worked up, frantic, worried about what's going on. I am too. I just think that Rubio doesn't have the juice as a candidate to pull off the presidency. Maybe later, not now. Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're gonna run it. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show.